Right friends, welcome back to Learning Space. This is a quick wrap up. This is the third module. All 16 modules will be available with Learning Space Digital as well as with the YouTube. They will be highly beneficial for the 2020 preliminary examination. Right friends, let us start the third module. First, I would like to deal with 3-4 important aspects. One is agriculture sector reforms. Second one is with regard to national education policy. Friends, if you look at agriculture sector reforms, please do not forget one particular act, that is Essential Commodities Act of 1955. This is the most important one. And the drug prices. Let me start with the drug prices. The drug prices are regulated under Essential Commodities Act. Please do not forget certain drugs as well as certain implants which are being used in the medical field, which are inserted into the human beings. So friends, certain drugs and implants, they enter the national list of essential medicines. National list of essential medicines are maintained by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and for the items whichever are in the national list of essential medicines, then based on the drug price control order, the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, that is NPPA, that resort to price controls. So the price controls which are being enforced on drugs and implants, that is based on Essential Commodities Act 1955. Please don't forget. Second important aspect is for the drugs which are not in the national list of essential medicines, they can also come under price control. In fact, NPPA has got emergency powers for such type of thing. Right friends, this is about drugs price control. Please do not forget, drugs price control is based on Essential Commodities Act. Right. Second important aspect I would like to tell you is Essential Commodities Act. There is one schedule attached to this act. From that schedule, items can be taken out, items can be added. That power is with the central government, please don't forget. And it only consults the state governments. Consult, not concurrence. Friends, this is about the Essential Commodities Act. Please don't forget. Center can add or remove any commodity into the schedule or take out from the schedule. Friends, in consultation with the state governments. Right. Let us look at the 3 agriculture sector reforms. First one is with regard to cereals. Cereals means like rice, wheat, then pulses, then onions, potatoes, edible oil and oil seeds. They are removed from the purview of Essential Commodities Act. Previously, there were several controls like stock holding limits. What was happening? Because of the stock holding limits, private sector was not coming forward to construct cold storage infrastructure. Because of that, agriculture sector is suffering. So precisely because of that reason, or you can say to invite private sector in a big way to construct warehousing, to construct cold storage facilities, these are taken out of the Essential Commodities Act purview. Friends, when there are certain aspects are there, that means under extreme circumstances, when there is 100% increase for horticulture crops and 50% for non-perishables, under those circumstances, the stock holding limits, all those things can be imposed. I am talking about exceptions. In general, these 6 commodities are taken out of the purview of Essential Commodities Act. So friends, in general, you cannot impose stock holding limits. Previously, there were stock holding limits. You cannot store more than 100 tons of onions. You cannot store more than 100 tons of pulses. All those things will go away now. But government kept the power. When there is 100% increase in the price for horticulture, 50% increase for the non-perishables, then the government can come into picture for imposing the stock limits. But one important aspect is exporters, value chain participants are exempted. Exporters are exempted from stock holding limits altogether. Then the value chain participant, that means if some private sector comes forward and establishes a warehouse, or you can say establishes cold chain infrastructure, then they are exempted altogether, irrespective of 100% increase or 50% increase. So friends, this is based on Essential Commodities Act, please don't forget. So friends, these cereals, pulses, onions, potatoes, these are taken out of the purview of this Essential Commodities Act in general, and this is expected to bring huge investments into the cold storage, into the creation of warehousing infrastructure. This is the first agriculture reform. What is the second agriculture reform? Second agriculture reform is, till now there is APMC Mandis monopoly is there. Friends, you may have a doubt. Agriculture is the state subject. How the center can intervene, I will come to it a short while from now. Friends, now APMC Mandis monopoly has gone. Outside the APMC Mandis, now this FPOs, cooperative societies, individuals, they can establish electronic trading platform. That means for the intrastate or interstate, from one state to other state, center has given full powers for the establishment of agriculture markets. Now the monopoly of APMC Mandis have gone. APMC Mandis, they are coming under criticism because of the reason there is monopoly inside APMC Mandis. It is benefiting the commission agents. Right friends? So the important aspect is now farmer, please listen carefully to three important aspects. One is farmer can sell directly from the farm gate. Second is any multinational company, or you can say any food chain, to be specific, food chain, they can purchase directly from the farmer. If Spencer's, if Reliance Mart wants to purchase directly from the farmer, they can purchase. Farmer can sell to anyone. I can establish electronic trading platform. Right friends? Interstate, intrastate, everything is allowed. And the next important aspect is this contracts directly farmers and buyers. This is the third reform. Farmers and buyers, they can enter contract. If I am the farmer, I can enter into contract with the buyer. Suppose Reliance wants to have agreement with the farmers, it can enter into agreement subject to certain conditions. Another important aspect is center develops price information and dissemination framework. Right friends, these are the important aspects as far as agriculture reforms are concerned. You may have a doubt when agriculture is state subject, how the center intervened. Please do not forget entry 28 in the state list, that is markets and fairs. Entry 26 is trade and commerce. Entry 26 in the trade state list, that is subject to the provisions of entry 33 of the concurrent list. Center relied upon two things. One is entry 33 of the concurrent list, which talks about intrastate trade laws for the food items. For the intrastate, within the state, food items. With regard to the trade, there is one concurrent list item, that is item number 33 or entry number 33. Center relied on that. Second is entry 42 in the union list, that talks about interstate trade and commerce. So friends, center intervened based upon entry 42 in the union list and entry 33 in the concurrent list. Please don't forget. I hope you got clarity about agriculture sector reforms. And people said it is 1991 movement for agriculture sector. Right friends, another important aspect is national education policy. This is the most important one. One question you can expect on the agriculture reforms as well as on the national education policy. Friends, new national education policy, this talks about 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That means early childhood care and education that became part of the school framework. Early childhood care and education, that is from 3 to 6 years, because brain development 85% takes place by the time child completes 6 years of age. That is the precise reason. Then wherever possible, this is the most important one. Please keep in mind, wherever possible, UPSC may twist by giving mandatory. So it is mentioned in the national education policy, wherever possible, this mother tongue up to class 5, right? And preferably up to class 8. Then coding, occasional education, that is from class 6. Then 4-year undergraduate degree, MPhil is abolished. 4-year undergraduate degree with multiple entry-exit options. The government's goal is to take public spending on education to 6%. Government said at present public spending on education is around 4.5%. Government's goal is to take it to 6%. Please don't forget, as far as health is concerned, the government's spending is around 1.6% of GDP. As far as education is concerned, as per various news reports, it is around 3.2% of GDP. But government said it is close to 4.5% of GDP. Please do not forget these figures. The government's goal now, as per national education policy, to take it to 6% of GDP. Another important aspect is multidisciplinary. So cross-disciplinary is acceptable from now onwards. You need not restrict to science stream, humanities stream, something like that. So friends, cross-disciplinary approach is allowed. And teacher education, 4-year BEd, that will become compulsory by 2030. Then National Educational Technology Forum. The purpose of National Educational Technology Forum is to use more and more technology as we go forward. Another important aspect is this GER, right? Gross enrollment ratio. What is it? 18 to 23 years age group. How much percentage are in the colleges? That is gross enrollment ratio. At present, it is somewhere around 26, something like that. Government's goal is to take it to 50% by 2035 and school 100% enrollment by 2030. To ensure 100% enrollment by 2030, 2 crore more students should go to the school. At the same time, to achieve gross enrollment ratio of 50%, government has to look for 3.5 crore college seats. Then friends, National Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Mission or NIPUN. NIPUN is important. That is basically to give basic literacy and numeracy to the young boys and girls. Right friends? These are all national education policy. Please don't forget. Then let us look at some of the economy related aspects. One thing comes to my mind. As far as GST is concerned, GST has not increased tax buoyancy. This point please keep in mind. Second aspect is, as far as GST collections as percentage of GDP is concerned, in 2019-20, it reduced in comparison to 2018-19. Friends, in comparison to 2018-19, in 2019-20 financial year, this GST collections as percentage of GDP declined. Second important aspect I would like to tell you, in the first 2 years, 2017-18, 18-19, GST cess collected is higher than compensation paid to the states. In 2019-20, it became reverse. These things are very important as far as GST is concerned, right? And another important aspect is electricity, petrol, diesel, real estate. These are outside GST. Because of that, The economy is facing the problem of embedded taxes. We don't get input tax credit. That is the meaning of embedded taxes. Look at these statistics. These are important because states' finances are in focus in recent times. If you look at the states, 53% from own resources. Friends, 5 years statistics are taken from 2015 to 2020 for all the states put together. For some of the states, it may vary, but overall, all the states in the Indian Union, if you take for 5 years, 53% from own resources, 47% from central transfers. This point, please don't forget. Almost half own resources, almost close to half, that is from central transfers. And let us analyze this 53%. 53%, this is tax revenue 45, non-tax revenue 8%. I am talking about the resources raised by the states. Out of the total, that means out of the total revenue to the states for the 5-year period, 53% from own resources and 47% from the central transfers. Out of it, 28% is share in central taxes. All of you are familiar? 41% that is recommended for 2020-21. Please don't forget 15th Finance Commission, that will be for 6-year period. It gave interim award. In the interim award, it talked, or you can say it gave 41% transfers of the taxes which are to be shared between center and the states. Please do not forget cess and surcharge. These are not required to be shared with the states. In recent times, the center's cess and surcharges, they are on the increasing trend. Some states objected to it. Right, friends? Here, grants in aid from center, that is 19%. Right. Then let us look at Kharif season 2020. Friends, wheat is exclusively Rabi crop, and chana dal, that is Rabi crop. And when you look at rice, predominantly Kharif, but part of cultivation is in Rabi also. Let us look at area cultivated in Kharif. I have taken example of 2020. Rice around 40 million hectares. If you combine with Rabi also, it may go to around 45 to 50 million hectares. Please do not forget, randomly just try to recollect which one is having higher area, which one is having lower area. Students should have in mind Kharif, rice, 40 million hectares. If you combine it with Rabi, it may be close to around 50 million hectares. Wheat is cultivated in around 30 million hectares. These figures please don't forget. And I am talking about Kharif. Oil seeds. Oil seeds is prominently Kharif crop. Out of the oil seeds, here you see, out of this 19.5 million hectares, soya bean, this is 12 million hectares. Please do not forget this mustard. Mustard is the Rabi crop. Please do not forget. Please differentiate soya bean, that is Kharif crop, and mustard, that is Rabi crop. Please do not forget groundnut. The largest producing state is Gujarat. Soya bean, Madhya Pradesh. Mustard, Rajasthan. These things please don't forget. I am talking about Kharif areas around close to 20 million hectares, that is oil seeds, out of which soya bean accounts for 12 million hectares, please don't forget. Then coarse cereals, 18 million hectares. And what are the two prominent components of these coarse cereals? Maize and basra. Maize is around 8 million hectares. Basra is around 7 million hectares. These are some of the statistics pertaining to Kharif. UPSC is fancy of asking such type of areas cultivated. Right, friends? Then GST on electric vehicles, that is 5%. But the biggest problem is this lithium ion batteries. They attract 18% GST. Please do not forget, GST on electric vehicles is 5%. GST on lithium ion batteries is 18%. Now the government is thinking of bringing down the GST on lithium-ion batteries to 5% or so. Friends, these are sold separately. Lithium-ion batteries, they attract 18%. Electric vehicles, they attract 5%. Another important aspect is, here please don't forget, battery accounts for around 40% of the total electric vehicle cost. Right friends? Look at the next one, unicorn company. Examples like Byju's, examples like Voyo, these are examples of unicorn companies. What is unicorn company? Unicorn company is nothing but the valuation of the company when it exceeds $1 billion. That is more than 7,000 crores of rupees. Then it is called unicorn company. India has got several unicorns, don't forget. Then venture capital fund. Venture capital fund, angel investments, these are basically meant for startups. Please do not forget, recently government has taken the decision that up to 50 crores loans to the startups, they will come under priority sector lending, please do not forget. Then gig economy, the economy like Swiggy, then this Amazon delivery boys, Flipkart delivery boys, then Uber drivers. I think you have clarity. So friends, that is gig economy. At present across the world, the problem is we are not able to differentiate whether they are employees or entrepreneurs. That is the biggest gap as far as the regulation is concerned. Another important aspect is impact investments. What is the meaning of impact investments? Impact investments are nothing but the investments which benefit two ways. One is commercial profit. Second is social impact. If somebody is giving good education at lesser cost and if it is getting good profits, that is example of the investments pertaining to impact investments. Then comparative advantage. Countries should look for comparative advantage. That means any country cannot become globally competitive in all the sectors. It is absolutely not possible. Look for the sectors where you can become globally competitive. Right? Your competitiveness must be at par with globally leading nations. That is global competitiveness. So friends, countries should look for global competitiveness in some sectors. If you look at India, automobiles, pharmaceuticals, textiles, we can become globally competitive in such type of sectors and in addition to information technology domains. So friends, this is the meaning of comparative advantage. Students must have clarity with regard to the difference between comparative advantage and global competitiveness. Then India is the fifth largest economy on nominal terms and third largest on PPP terms. On nominal terms, the largest is USA, second largest is China. Please don't forget, our economy size is around $3 trillion, whereas Chinese economy size is around $14-15 trillion. United States of America is around $21 trillion. Please don't forget, I am telling the rough figures. PPP terms, first is China, second is USA, third is India. Friends, the GFCF, that is gross fixed capital formation, investment expenditure. If you look at Indian GDP, two things please don't forget. The maximum component is consumption, that means private consumption. If I am purchasing a pen, if I am purchasing a shirt, this all private consumption. That constitutes around 55% of GDP. And second component is investment component. During the past 10 years, the investment component is coming down. The savings rate is coming down. There is a slight upsurge in recent times during the past 1 year or so. But now it will fall because of COVID-19. In general, if you see during the past 10 years, savings rate, it has fallen. Investment rate or GFCF, it has fallen, right? And the next important aspect is this ICOR, incremental capital output ratio. That means if it is less, it is better. But in recent times, as per the news reports, ICOR is increasing. So friends, three trends, they are not desirable during the past decade, whatever is happening as far as Indian economy is concerned. First one is investment expenditure, that is falling. Second one is savings rate, that is falling. Then incremental capital output ratio, or which talks about the efficiency of the enterprises or productivity of the enterprises with less investment. Unfortunately, what is happening is it is increasing. If ICOR is less, it is better. But incremental capital output ratio, that is increasing. So friends, all these three are not desirable as far as any economy is concerned. Then India and Australia, please do not forget one point I would like to tell you. India, Australia signed mutual logistics support to increase military interoperability. Please don't forget, India has LEMO, Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement with USA. And sometime back, India signed with France, now with Australia. Friends, before going to the ecology and environment, science and technology, let me take few seconds to talk about today's editorial discussion. Friends, we produce editorial discussions on Monday, Wednesday and Friday and connect the dots, high-end modules as far as mains is concerned on Tuesday and Thursday. In today's editorial discussion, three important issues. First one is social media platforms. There is a need for stringent regulation. This is from Live Mint. Second is no more alliances, only strategic relationships as far as foreign policy front is concerned. This is from The Hindu. How to bridge the credit gap for MSMEs. This is from Live Mint. Please do watch editorial discussions and connect the dots. Let us look at ecology and environment. Friends, CRZ, Coastal Regulation Zone. Though the notification belongs to 2018, it is still important. Coastal Regulation Zone, 4 zones, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 4, center can give permission, or you can say 1 and 4, that is within the purview of center. 2 and 3, that is with the states. 2 is for urban areas, 3 is for rural areas, and 3 is bifurcated into 2 parts, that is thinly populated rural areas, thickly populated rural areas. And thickly populated rural areas, they will be almost at par with urban areas. So friends, please don't forget Zone 1, Zone 4. Zone 1 is the sensitive areas. Zone 4 is up to 12 nautical miles. These two are kept with the center. 2 and 3, these are given to the states. 3 is bifurcated into thickly populated and thinly populated. A separate category is created in 3 for the thickly populated rural areas, and that thickly populated rural areas, they are almost at par with the urban areas. Right friends? Another important aspect, please do not forget, as far as coastal regulation zone specifications are concerned. Coastal regulation zone, that is applicable up to 500 meters. This is the important aspect. But for backwaters, creeks, it is up to 50 meters. That means these regulations are applicable under normal circumstances up to 500 meters, and for creeks, backwaters up to 50 meters. This one please don't forget. And there is one separate category of no development zone, where agriculture, normal repairs, they are allowed. Other than that, major constructions are not allowed. That is no development zone. Students must have clarity with regard to no development zone. No development zone is 200 meters normally. In the thinly populated rural areas 200 meters. Urban areas and thickly populated rural areas 50 meters. For the backwaters and creeks 20 meters. Please do not forget these two things. One is when I am talking about coastal regulation zone, 500 meters in general and 50 meters for backwaters and creeks. And when I am talking about no development zone where only minor repairs are allowed, please do not forget 200 meters. That is the general. That means thinly populated rural areas and other areas 200 meters is the no development zone. And thickly populated rural areas and urban areas, no development zone is 50 meters. For the backwaters and creeks, no development zone is 20 meters. Friends, another important aspect is this hazard line concept is removed. The government said, let us use hazard line as far as disaster management is concerned, but not for coastal regulation zone. This is the important aspect. Please don't forget. This hazard line is demarcated by Survey of India. Now this 50 meters, 200 meters, 500 meters, these are based on high tide line. Friends, another important aspect is in the coastal regulation zone specifications. Floor space index norms eased. That means multi-layered complexes or multi-story buildings, they are allowed, right? Then CRZ 3A, I already talked about. Then this creeks, estuaries, backwaters. CRZ is 50 meters, NDZ is 20 meters. I already talked about it. Friends, environmental impact assessment, that is into the news. And whatever draft regulations which the government proposed, that may not be that important. But what is important is, what are the present rules and regulations as far as environmental impact assessment is concerned? Friends, these are under the Environment Protection Act 1986. Then first EIA norms in 1994, amended in 2006. Subsequently, several amendments and office memorandums were issued, that is different story. And ecologically sensitive areas all require environmental clearance. Please listen carefully. In the ecologically sensitive areas, all the projects require environmental clearance. But in other areas, certain categories of projects, there are around 39 categories of projects. The number is not that important. They require, in fact, environmental clearance. Friends, here ECA report by the project proponent or the third party. This environmental clearance, this report is prepared by the project proponent or the third party. That is the biggest flaw, right? So friends, another important aspect is category A, that goes to the center. Category B1 and B2, that goes to the states. Category B means states. Then one more important aspect is category B2, that does not require public consultation. Friends, after the expert assessment, that means after a committee examines, now the proposal is, or you can say, previously what was the system? Previously the system was one particular committee that examines and subsequently it puts which projects comes under this B2 category. Of course, there was in fact the tendency of the state governments to put more and more projects under the B2 category, which was criticized quite often. Friends, please do not forget A, center, B1, B2 states, B2 does not require public consultation, and previously as per the 2006 notification, the projects which are put in the category B2, that decision was taken by an committee established by the government. That is about the present notification. And with regard to the draft amendments, I am not looking at it because normally UPSC may not ask that. 13 beaches, they are proposed for blue flag certification, right? and Denmark-based Foundation for Environment Education, that is behind it. Friends, these are compiled here. Just have a glance at it. These are important from your prelims perspective. One is PM10. This is construction activity and road dust. I am talking about the predominant sources of the pollutants. PM10, predominant sources, road dust and construction activity. Please don't forget. Second important aspect is PM 2.5 in the urban areas. This PM 2.5 in urban areas predominantly comes from diesel engines, or you can say vehicular emissions. At the same time, industrial activity. If you look at the rural areas, this agriculture residue burning as well as cooking by using the biomass, right? Then Ujjwala is most important. Ujjwala reduces PM 2.5 especially in the rural areas. Then carbon dioxide emissions, I need not explain. Then methane. Naturally, if you see, methane is emitted by the wetlands, right? And please do not forget, the peatlands in the Arctic region, they are emitting huge methane. Then this fossil fuel related emissions, these are the highest anthropogenically. That means naturally wetlands, the highest component. And here, if you look at anthropogenic emissions, the component is fossil fuel related, or you can say the handling of the fossil fuels, transportation, handling, extraction, all these things put together, they contribute to the highest anthropogenic emissions. But in general, if you see, the natural emissions comes from wetlands. Another important aspect is rice fields. Please don't forget rice fields, because of continuous flooding, they are resulting in huge emissions of methane. And second important aspect is, if the rice fields are alternately wetted and dried, it leads to, please listen carefully, if the rice fields are alternately wetted and dried, it leads to nitrous oxide emissions. But most of the rice fields in our country or across the world, they are in fact with continuous flooding, and they release huge quantities of methane. Cattle release the methane because of rumination process. Please don't forget sewage dumps. That means if untreated sewage that is dumped, landfills, these are another sources of methane, don't forget. Then nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide emissions predominantly due to agriculture. Please do not forget. Right? So N2O emissions predominantly because of agriculture, that is predominantly due to the usage of chemical fertilizers. Please don't forget, especially urea. Please don't forget, we are using excess urea because of the pricing policy. Skewed usage of fertilizers is there in our country, especially towards higher usage of urea. Because of that, we are seeing nitrous oxide emissions. Of course, nitrous oxide that is emitted through the wastewater and commercial activities also. Then nitrogen dioxide, that is NO2 emissions, coal power plants, vehicles. I talked about predominant emissions. Please don't get confused. There are other sources also, but I talked about predominant emissions. Friends, vaccine nationalism. Let us look at some of the science and technology issues. Vaccine nationalism. That means countries are paying money initially to protect their citizens. That means they are promoting the vaccine manufacturing companies by in fact paying advances, or you can say they are protecting their citizens. Each and every country, developed country, several developed countries are in the process of vaccine nationalism. Then COVAX facility, please don't forget. COVAX, the main purpose is for the equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccine. For that purpose, this COVAX facility is established. It is the initiative of WHO, Gavi Vaccine Alliance. In addition to other firms, USA said it is not joining, and India is thinking of joining COVAX. Please don't forget. Friends, zero budget natural farming. This is into the news. Jeevamrutam. Jeevamrutam means that is to promote microorganisms and earthworms. jaggery, the desi cow urine, the desi cow dung. These are all mixed. These are just spread on the field. That is Jivamrutam. The main purpose of Jivamrutam is to promote the activities of microorganisms and earthworms. Please don't forget. But friends, it is against vermicomposting. When you look at vermicomposting, it is the mainstay of organic agriculture. But this is against vermicomposting because the proponent, Subhash Palekar, he says that vermicomposting, it is introducing this European red wiggler. Because of the introduction of European red wiggler, it is not good for the soil. So friends, the main idea of zero budget natural farming is, as per the proponents, there are not many, or you can say there is no input costs associated. If desi cows are there, that will take care of Jivamruta, Bijamruta, all these things. So therefore, because of that reason, it is called zero budget natural farming. But some critics say it is not exactly zero budget. Right friends? Jivamruta, Bijamruta, treating the seeds with the mixture containing this cow dung, desi cow dung and desi cow urine along with others. Then this achadana or mulching, that is the agriculture waste that is to be spread on the top of the soil. Another component is aeration. Proper aeration is important. So friends, the basic idea is how to protect the seeds from fungal infestation. Second important aspect is how to in fact ensure the activity of microorganisms as well as earthworms. Keeping that in mind, this zero budget natural farming is started. There are of course some critics are there for this ZBNF. Then friends, Fusarium wilt of banana. This is shaking the world. This is Panama disease. Friends, I am not talking about fall armyworm. Fall armyworm that came from the Americas, first infested Africa. Then it came to Asian countries. First it came to Karnataka and it is spreading across the country. And maize crop is predominantly affected because of fall armyworm, which is known as FAW. Please don't forget. Friends, now world is fearing about this Panama disease. The world famous Cavendish banana is being threatened because of this Panama disease. Friends, the second stage, biosafety research trials, this BT brinjal, Janak and BSS 793. Second stage, biosafety research trials are approved by GEAC. Friends, GEAC approved the trials and that is not giving approval finally to BT brinjal. In fact, please don't forget, BT brinjal, it was stopped somewhere around 2010. There is general moratorium on the genetically modified food crops in our country. Only this cotton is approved for genetic modification. No other crop is approved. In general, India has this moratorium on the genetically modified food crops. Under these circumstances, the second stage field trials for BT brinjal, Janak and BSS 793, that is not understandable as per some experts. Friends, from your examination perspective, Bangladesh already cultivating this BT brinjal. There are news reports that illegal cultivation is going on in West Bengal with the seeds from Bangladesh. Friends, this gives this resistance to this fruit and shoot borer. Fruit and shoot borer, this affects brinjal crop and this protects it against this disease. Friends, HTBT cotton, this is illegally cultivated in our country. Around 15% is under cultivation illegally. It is not approved in our country. Another important aspect is they can use glyphosate. Glyphosate is the weed killer. With HTBT cotton, they can use glyphosate directly. Without HTBT cotton, if they use glyphosate, cotton crop will be damaged. And with HTBT cotton, if they use glyphosate, then the weeds will be killed. They can save costs as far as de-weeding is concerned. Friends, illegal cultivation of these transgenic crops, that attracts punishment under 2 acts, please don't forget. Here farmers can get punishment under the Environment Protection Act of 1986 and the Seeds Act of 1966. As per Environment Protection Act, there is imprisonment for 5 years and fine of rupees 1 lakh. Please do not forget. Then another important aspect as far as HTBT cotton is concerned, please do not forget BT cotton that takes 2 strains from one soil bacterium. I need not explain the names. BT cotton, if people are talking about, it takes 2 strains from one soil bacterium, and HTBT cotton, this takes another strain from another soil bacterium. This is about HTBT cotton, please don't forget. Friends, as far as cotton is concerned, I am talking about BT cotton. Friends, please leave HTBT cotton. I talked about HTBT cotton till now. I would like to tell 4 or 5 important points about BT cotton. The first point is BT cotton is being cultivated with hybrids in our country. Second important aspect is farmers are required to purchase the seeds every year. Third important aspect is, please do not forget, it is long duration, whereas in foreign countries it is short duration. And scientists say because of this, pink bollworm is affecting BT cotton crop, right? Because of the long duration, it is not able to give resistance against a pink bollworm. Another important aspect, please do not forget, that is the yields per hectare. In fact, with the introduction of this BT cotton, yields per hectare raised in the initial stages substantially and subsequently now almost stagnated. That is the real cause of worry. Right, friends? Another important aspect is, as per the Farmers' Rights Act 2001, farmer can exchange and sell the seeds without branding. Farmer, his own seeds, or you can say he can sell the seeds, and at the same time he can purchase the seeds from another farmer. There is no restriction, but he cannot sell with branding. That is the important aspect, don't forget. And 27 pesticides are proposed for banning. Please don't forget, the center has got the power for banning the pesticides, but the states have got powers only up to 60 days. Please don't forget. Let us look at some statements, random thoughts. First one is, as percentage of GDP, the GST collections increased in 2019-20 in comparison to 2018-19. Absolutely wrong. That means with the introduction of GST, tax buoyancy, which was expected initially, that is not taking place. So, in fact, GST collections as percentage of GDP, they have shown declining trend in 2019-20. In the GST architecture, from the beginning, the cess collected is always less than compensation paid. This is wrong. During the first 2 years, cess collected was higher. In the third year, cess collected was lower because expected revenue from GST was not realized in 2019-20. Then India joined COVAX facility. That is wrong. India is thinking of joining COVAX. Then the revenue coming from cess, this is always maintained in public account. That is wrong. Cess, that first goes to Consolidated Fund of India and subsequently it is appropriated to particular head which it is intended for spending. That cannot be spent for any other purpose, but it first goes to Consolidated Fund of India and then it comes to that particular expenditure, right? It cannot be spent for other purpose. Second is a surcharge. That can be spent for any other purpose. Quantitative easing. helicopter money, monetization of deficit. They normally creates additional money. Absolutely correct. Students must have clarity with regard to monetization of deficit, helicopter money. Central bank prints currency through the government that is distributed among the people. That is helicopter money. That is creating additional money. Then monetization of deficit. Center issues the bonds. Instead of banks, insurance companies subscribing to those bonds, RBI subscribe to them. That is monetization of deficit. Third one is quantitative easing. Quantitative easing is printing currency and that is putting among the nation that is normally undertaken in Western developed countries. That is quantitative easing. Purchasing all types of bonds in the market and throwing a lot of money in circulation, that is creating additional money, that is quantitative easing, which is undertaken in the Western developed countries. Then during the previous decade, savings rate reduced, this investment expenditure reduced, but the important aspect is this ICOR. ICOR, if it is less, it is better, but it increased. So therefore, this statement becomes wrong. First two, savings rate reduced, investment rate reduced. This is correct, but ICOR reduced is wrong. During the past decade, this incremental capital output ratio that increased, unfortunately. Then VDPV, vaccine derived poliovirus, that can be eliminated with the switch over to injectable polio vaccine. Friends, for eliminating wild polio virus circulation, please listen carefully. For eliminating wild polio virus circulation, we require this oral polio vaccine. Once the wild polio virus is eliminated, the governments should switch over to injectable polio vaccine, because vaccine derived polio virus, that happens in some cases when we are using this oral polio vaccine. By the by, Africa, polio is completely eliminated and two countries are endemic as far as polio is concerned, that is Pakistan and Afghanistan. And this vaccine derived polio virus, that is the threat in several countries. So countries like India should switch over to injectable polio vaccine, which require trained manpower. Right friends? Another important aspect I already talked about, that is with regard to herd immunity. Please do not forget, yesterday we discussed about it. Any individual can establish electronic trading platform for agriculture. Absolutely correct. This was made possible because of agriculture reforms. Farmers can sell from their farm gate to anyone in the country. Absolutely correct. Then WTO appellate body is the ultimate forum for dispute settlement process under the WTO framework, and there is no mechanism for further appeal. Why are we discussing about it? We are discussing about it because of the simple reason, appellate body that is dysfunctional now, because it requires minimum 3 members to function. Because of United States of America, now 3 members are not there. United States of America is objecting for appointments to appellate body, and WTO works with consensus. All the countries must agree. That is the drawback of WTO architecture. Then Cabinet Committee on Investment and Growth. Friends, these 2 cabinet committees were created. One is investment and growth. Second is employment and skill development. Both are headed by the Prime Minister. Please don't forget. Then no development zone for thinly populated rural areas is 200 meters. I am not talking about population density. In the circular, population density is mentioned, but for the layman's understanding, I am talking about thinly populated rural areas, right? There is some specific figure of population density in the circular or in the notification. Urban and thickly populated rural areas is 50 meters, and for backwaters and creeks, it is 20 meters. We are talking about no development zone. Then Mahatma Gandhi Narega wages are outside the purview of Code on Wages Act. Absolutely correct. Why? Because in Mahatma Gandhi Narega, employer-employee relation that is not defined properly. That is the precise reason. And another important aspect is Healthcare is outside the purview of Consumer Protection Act 2019. Please do not forget. Then National Testing Agency is not a statutory body. There is no legislatory backup as far as this National Testing Agency is concerned. Then fair and remunerative price, that is guaranteed legally as per Sugarcane Control Order 1966. Absolutely correct. States can only give higher price than this, but they cannot give lesser than this. Right friends, this concludes today's lecture. Have a nice day. We will meet tomorrow with the fourth lecture. Please do watch all 16 modules. They will benefit a lot. Have a nice day. Thank you.